Stop choosing destinations for how they look, the aesthetics of it. Stop choosing destinations because they're trending or they are featured on TikTok or Instagram or on social media. Start choosing destinations that align with the season that you're in your life. Where does your soul want to go? What does your current situation need in order to feel something, move through something, be with something? Trying to deepen our travel experiences and move beyond just the superficial layer. Hey, I'm Jamie, and I'm the heart and mind behind Liminal Travel. Here at Liminal Travel, we not only teach you how to travel out in the world, but how to travel through your life and how to travel inwardly to understand and make peace and love yourself. Today, we're going to talk about travel as a mirror, as travel as a mechanism to work through and on whatever season of life you're in, traveling to transform. This is a really new or new-ish concept. Historically, in the US at least, travel has been about vacationing, about going somewhere that's pretty, somewhere where you can check out, somewhere where you can go see sights, more about the consumerism of traveling versus traveling like they did way back when as pilgrimages. People in the olden days didn't travel just to go see something pretty. Travel was very spiritual, travel was religious, and most travel was for needs, right, in the community, food and commerce. But historically, with the spiritual aspect, it was pilgrimages. Going to a place that will increase your ability to connect with something greater, right? We've all heard of like Mecca. We've heard of pilgrimages. We've heard of the longing of the soul to see something or connect with something. And it doesn't have to be within the religious context to have a spiritual experience while you travel. Some of the things I want to talk about today is destinations as archetypes. So different landscapes, different environments mirror back to us what we may need to see within, or maybe something we're craving, and it might awaken something, it might help heal something, it might help us to see things from a new perspective. So I'm going to list off, I love a good list. If you don't know me, I love a good list. I have 5 travel landscapes that might help you travel through whatever you're going through right now. Before I get into that though, I want to be really clear. When we travel to transform, it's not about checking out and feeling good or feeling nice. Not that you can't have those experiences, but when we travel to transform, there may be some discomfort. We may bump up against something we don't like. We may not have our plans go the way they're supposed to. With a pilgrim mindset, this is all part of the journey and there's so much to learn from it. Rather than things don't go your way and you have a little tantrum and you're really upset. Instead, what can this teach me, right? So there's discomfort that happens in travel already. So instead of fighting against it, how can we use the discomfort to see what we're trying to learn about ourselves? Okay, so coming back to destinations as archetypes. So if your soul is being called to the ocean, maybe you need to learn how to go with the flow. Maybe you're at a season of your life where things don't feel steady or solid ground. There's that, my body naturally did this. Maybe your life feels like an ebb and flow. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, or whatever. And maybe you are needing to surrender something. The ocean teaches us how to let go of our agenda because the ocean's going to do whatever the ocean's going to do. So maybe that's where you're being called to. Another archetype is the mountain. So when you stand upon a tall mountain and look out, we realize how small we really are. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I take myself a little too seriously and my problems feel really big. But when we go to a mountain and look out and realize that we're just a small little blip in this beautiful wilderness, we start to put things in perspective and we realize that this is not this is temporary and not going to last forever. Last month, we went to the Blue Ridge Mountains for a retreat, and every time I walked outside, it was like, it was exactly what I needed to see. Not small little things in front of me, but to realize to pull back and see the big picture, that this may feel really big right now, but in the scheme of the themes, it's just a small thing in a bigger picture of our life, right? Every season. The next archetype is the desert. I love the desert. I feel most at home in the desert. Some people get really uncomfortable in the desert. Here's why I think they do, because the desert is incredibly honest. It is stripped down, it is dry, there's not a lot happening on the surface. There's some things happening underneath the surface, but it's really stark. And sometimes we need that starkness. Sometimes we need the minimization of distractions. Sometimes we need things to be stripped down so that we can really see what's underneath. You know, if we get caught up on the outside and how things look, we miss what's going on the inside. And that's what the cactus is doing, especially the small little cacti. Anyways, we're going to Joshua Tree in October, and our whole retreat is based on that idea of who am I when you take away all the distractions and all the bells and whistles, what shows up in that present moment. And I think that's the gift of the desert. Can I be here now? Can I truly be present? And in this moment, what is coming up? The next archetype is the forest. I think the forest, especially those dark, moody, broody forests, it teaches us to embrace the mystery. Have you ever gotten lost in the forest? I mean, I've gone on a few hikes and it's starting to get dark, late in the evening, and I'm like, shit, I'm kind of scared. Like, what if I think I'm lost. Like, what if I get stuck out here? So there is also that lesson of trusting the process, but also having a healthy respect for, you might get lost out in the wilderness. You might lose your pathway. And sometimes we need to lose our path when we're going through a season of our life and it isn't currently working and we want to keep going, but maybe we need to get lost in the woods. Maybe we need to go and create a new path. Maybe the path that we had created and we thought was amazing really wasn't the path we're supposed to be on, or maybe not now in this current moment. So going out into the forest teaches us how to embrace the bigness of it and the pathways of life. The next archetype I'd like to offer to you is cities. Sometimes there's a good reason to go to the cities. We need to be invigorated. Maybe our current life feels dull and dry and boring, and it's the same thing over and over again, and you can see my body just going down, down, down. Depression's coming. Maybe we need to go to a different city. Maybe we need to see new sights. Maybe we need to immerse ourselves in culture and art and music and food. There is a good point in that beyond just numbing out and distractions. It could revive us. I know there's been many times I've gone to Charleston kind of in a slump, and I leave Charleston feeling reinvigorated. Also, cities give us the opportunity for reinvention. Like when we're in a big city with a lot of people, no one knows you. And so you can try on different hats, if you will. Like I live in a small town in South Carolina, and I can't go anywhere without running into somebody I know, or I kind of know. There's days I love it, and there's days I fucking hate it. And I would love just to be able to go somewhere where no one knows me, and I can be whoever the hell I want to be on that given day, not the person I was 10 years ago. So there is a time and place to go to cities, and using that energy as a way to transform without getting lost in it and getting caught up in the aesthetics of it and the distractions of it. I think cities can be very distracting. Beyond those, I'd like for you to think about like what other archetypes are out there, what other cities, and every state, every city, every country has its own flavor, its own thing to teach us, and that's really what About Traveling to Transform is for. Using the landscape that we're in to learn lessons about ourselves. So when I am in this environment, what comes up for me? What is mirrored back to me? What's it making me feel? And I think that can be really powerful medicine and therapy. All right, so here are some questions to ask before traveling. What am I seeking? So this goes beyond, it's a pretty place, I want to go. Or my neighbors went there, so I want to go. Or social media is trending right now. Like, before you start thinking about where you're going to go, what am I seeking? What do I need in this moment? Maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but sitting down and taking that time to contemplate and go a little deeper and figure out, what do I need? What am I seeking in this moment? The next thing you want to ask is, what feels exhausted in me? Like, what's exhausted in you that maybe needs to be filled up again? Travel can really fill your cup up again. Not all trips, right? You've been home from those trips where you feel more emptied, more exhausted after the trip. And sometimes that's good, sometimes it's not good. But where do you feel exhausted, and how can you use travel to fill your cup back up again? Maybe you need to go to a cabin in the woods with no electronics and no people and talk to no one for a weekend. Maybe that would help fill up your cup. There's many different ways to do that. All right, next question. What part of myself needs attention? So what part of you have you neglected? Maybe you haven't read a book in a couple years because you're so busy. Maybe you have not had a massage in a decade. Maybe you need quiet. Maybe you need to go somewhere where you can write your book you haven't written. Like, what's been neglected? What have you not paid attention to due to busyness or lack of inspiration, or it just wasn't the right time and now is? Next question, and final question, do I need rest, challenge, inspiration, or solitude? So getting clear about, what do I need? Because if you say you want solitude and you book a trip to Miami, you're sure as hell not going to get that there. So using the landscape to mirror what you need, and picking a place based on feelings first and maybe aesthetics later. Not that aesthetics are bad, but we can get caught up and lost in how things look versus how do they feel. And at the end of the day, how do I want to feel is a much more interesting question than taking a picture of something pretty. There's a place for that though too. All right, here are some exercises for you. So before you answer all those questions, before you start to figure out where you want to go, get a journal, start to free write, right? I gave you 5 questions, right? Don't think about it too hard. Just kind of let's see what comes out of you. You might be surprised on what comes out of you. Whenever I do journal, which I'm not a big journaler, but when I do, I'm always surprised what comes through. Next thing, you can pull some cards, tarot cards, oracle cards. If that's not your jam, you can go out in nature and kind of see, like in your backyard even, and see like what in the environment is getting triggered. Things that you like, things that you don't like what are you seeing? Another thing is sitting quietly with a map. I love a good map, not a map on the screen. If you have one of those old school maps or a globe, there's something so nostalgic about a globe. And just, running your finger over it and looking at it and seeing what comes up. Like when you run over Minneapolis and you go, ooh, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to Minneapolis in probably 40 years, so I don't know if that's like a hot spot or not. And then above all, I've already mentioned this, notice your emotional reactions. Like what comes up, what gets triggered when you're looking at these maps, when you're pulling these cards, when you're journaling. Things will start to unfold. And if you need some guidance, or if you just want some guidance, this is part of my job. Yes, I can book your hotel. Yes, I can book your trip. I can help you write up an itinerary. I can do all those things. But what I really love to do is to sit down with people and explore those questions of, where does your soul want to go? What are you currently going through with your life, and how can travel help you? And beyond travel, I offer other supplemental, offerings. I can do a tarot card reading. I can pull your natal chart. There is a type of astrology called astrocartography. We can literally pull up your chart and figure out astrologically where the best place for you to go based in your sun sign, moon sign, all the signs, and figure out where would be best for you to work on whatever you're working on. If your love department is kind of want, and you want to get we could look on the astrocartography map and find your Venus line, and we could send you there, and that's going to be a better place for you to find love. Truly, if you have not heard of this, please book a 15-minute free consultation with me. Let's talk about it. I love it. In closing, I hope this was helpful. I hope you're starting to think a little deeper. I know I'm coming into summer and vacations are getting planned and the excitement of going, to different locations. Before you book anything, take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and please ask yourself the question, where does my soul want to go? And how do I want to feel when I come home from this trip? I think that's more important. So start to future trip, right? When I come home from this trip, how do I want to feel? I sure as hell don't want to feel more exhausted. I sure as hell don't want to be having to book another trip to recover from this trip. I want to come home. This is where I am. I want to come home feeling refreshed, inspired, and grounded. So then you start to build a trip backwards. If that's how I want to feel, what things and places and activities do I want to do that are going to help to get me to that point? I'm Jamie. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like some more tips, stay tuned. Click the like, subscribe, all the thing buttons. Thank you for being here with me. I really do appreciate your support. And if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, put them in the comments below and I'd be happy to do so. Have a great week and I'll see you next time.